Welcome to the Flying S Podcast, bringing City Hall to your headphones. Your go-to source for community news, events, and stories straight from your local Sidney government. I'm Brittany King.
And I'm Andrew Bowser. And every other Friday, we'll bring you what's happening in our hometown and local government. Fast, factual, and focused. Welcome back to the Flying S Podcast. This is Andrew, and with my co-host,
Brittany King again.
Today we have a special guest. Brittany, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, so we have the United Way in today, and they are in the middle of their campaign. So we brought Karla in to give us a brief overview of what the United Way does and how we can all get involved.
Welcome, Karla.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. It, officially launched our campaign on 9/11, so that's always great to do the official kickoff. Not to say we haven't been out, sharing our message for a little sooner than that. We have a great group of pace setters that, really launched that campaign to be what it is. And so just thrilled to be here and to be able to share with everyone a little bit more about what we do. So yes, I'm Karla. I've been with the United Way in 2 years now. I reside in Fort Laramie with my husband, Sam, and our 3 kids. Been in this role of philanthropy and fundraising pretty much my whole career. Something about being able to build relationships and see the impact individuals can make on their communities or a nonprofit is really an exciting thing to be a part. And the United Way is no different. So when I moved back to Shelby County as someone who was born here and moved away and came back, one of the
boomerang.
Things,
Yes,
the boomerang.
The boomerangs.
And more people should do that because there's so many good things. But one of the things, after being somebody who was fundraising in Columbus and Northwest Ohio, one of the things that was just evident to me is the philanthropic generosity of our community and the United Way being able to raise over $1 million, a 1.4 year in and out, a community foundation that's doing a match day over $1 million. It's just unheard of. I mean, for a population that we have here in Shelby County, it's amazing. It gives me goosebumps. It's humbling. And, the United Way, what we do as a service tier to our community, we are locally owned and independent. We have our board of directors, 22 individuals, leaders in our community that are making the decisions. So yes, we're affiliated with the big worldwide organization, but we're able to be operated here to make decisions that impact our community right here in Shelby County. And when it comes to the human services that are so needed. So, United Way, we fund 28 partner agencies. Additional grants go out through our special projects and our Student United Way and our Power Group. So last year, just under $1.1 million was, spent out into our community to make sure that we have things from Agape food distribution, our food pantry, to workforce development and Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So like the widest gamut of things you can think, from babies to seniors to workforce development, mental health, just everything can be, we really try to cover a wide spectrum so that, we served over 17,000, almost 18,000 clients last year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I would have to say that coming not from the community and coming from the Central Ohio area, I knew what United Way was not involved. And then I think when you come into a community like ours that is so thoughtful and giving and so tightly wound and knit, that it really starts to paint a different type of perspective. And I think the ability to get involved with the United Way really opened up, I think, a lot of different pathways and ideas and thoughts within the programming. But I think what you guys all do over there is just phenomenal every single day. And I think here locally, you see the dollars at work. And I think it's really telling about the work that you guys do.
Yeah, I think that's, I'm relatively fresh in my role too. I think 2 years. So learning about the United Way and what I understood when I took the role as opposed to what I've learned in the last 2 years and continue to learn. I like to think of us as, our job, although everybody's job's got difficult days, our job is not near as difficult as the agencies that are really doing the work, the hands-on work. And our goal is to make their jobs easier and to make the lives of our community members easier. Life happens every day, whether it's a car repair and tuition's due or whatever, grocery prices, these agencies are here to help. And it's not a handout as much as a hand up in that time of need, because life is out of our control. We can only control so much. We can't control when when, a house repair or something of that nature or a medical situation. We can't control those things. But there's these people out here doing these hard, great things, these human services directors that just want to make a difference. And so I feel really humbled to be connected to them. It's a very connected to them and then to connected to the donors that help make their jobs easier. It's kind of a cool being in the middle of both of those things.
Yeah. Coming from the sort of nonprofit world, and you have previously at Wilson and now United Way, being here for 2 years, and this is your sort of second campaign kickoff. Tell me something that you didn't know prior to coming on United Way that you just find fascinating.
So what I love about the United Way, and I think it's something I try to resonate and share with as many people as I can, is the allocation process. The way the dollars are distributed out into the partner agencies. So I think a lot of people assume, I sit in this office and I decide we raise these dollars and I say, well, I really like this agency and this year they're going to get all this money. That's not how it works. I'm not making those decisions. So the money comes in the fall. I like to think of it as our community kettle of money. We're all working together to bring this big dollar amount together. Then we go through our budgeting process. How much is it going to take us to operate? And then our partner agencies are filling out grant requests. Hey, what's coming up? Where are they going? Have utilities been higher for some of the 24/7 facilities? Are they expecting, to lose any federal grants or funding? So they put in a request for their funding, their allocation in December timeframe, due in February. We bring together then our board of directors, which is 22 individuals, leaders in our community, representing all different industries and walks of life, and then also other company volunteers and community leaders. And those individuals are split into 5 different groups, and they review those grant applications. They go visit the organizations. They ask the hard questions like, hey, why didn't you hold your fundraiser the last 2 years? What's going on? Like, you can't be reliant only on our funding. What are you doing to help yourself? And so those questions are hard, but also good. And there's value. I mean, we have phenomenal organizations. We have phenomenal directors at those.
Mm-hmm.
But then they come back and they're like, okay, this is what kind of our proposed budget is for the day, and they have to figure out who's getting what. And those are hard decisions. And when you think you have a group of 10 leaders in a room, it's like, oh, there's no way they're coming to a decision. But they do. And most of the time, I think last year when we ended it, there wasn't a day when somebody wasn't like, if we had more money, that's the
Sure.
thing. That's the thing that continues to be. If we had more money, we'd love to give this organization because they're doing such good things. And so that's, I guess, always my motivation, as we start and we get into these campaign and we're going out. If we had more dollars, if we could get our community to give a little, $1 a pay, $10, whatever it might be, we can put that back out, and these organizations can do more. And that's, but that allocation, and it's such a cool process because I like to think the community trusts the community to make the decisions on how we want to impact the most people in Shelby County.
So you make a good point on getting the community to become more involved with the giving. And like we had said before, you're in the middle of your campaign for this year. So can businesses still get involved right now? And tell us a little bit more about this campaign about, I know you said it started, or it starts in September.
September 11th, yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes through the beginning of November. So kind of give us a little bit more information about that.
Absolutely. So we officially launch, but in August, we have a group of what we call pace setters. So people who are willing to run their campaign earlier to kind of get us a launching pad, I'll say, of, hey, we're at this amount. And then we'll officially close November 6th. Not to say we wouldn't take donations after that, because heck, we'll take donations whenever anybody wants to get them. But that's our kind of rough finale, kind of the wrap up. And it gets, kind of closes right before our Community Foundation match day. So, kind of builds into that a little bit. But yes, if a company is interested in learning more, please reach out. Our office number is 937-492-2101. You can find my email, kyoung@Shelby County United Way. We'd be happy to come out and educate your staff, your leadership, your HR, because there's a big piece of also education to what our organizations do, because so many are doing things that you don't need to know until somebody has an issue that you need to know about. And so we can provide that education. 211 is a resource that's here in Shelby County. That is our human service hotline. So, if you're at a business or you have a family member and all of a sudden they're like, hey, my kid's really struggling. They're struggling with mental health. I'm not sure how to help them. Or, you know what, my great aunt's car broke down and she's on a fixed income and I'm not sure if she's going to have enough money to get food this week. Call the resource hotline, because that's what this is all about. It's about helping people when they need the help. So we love the education. We love sharing the message, but we can take a lot of places in Shelby County still run workplace campaigns. That's a typical like, hey, we're going to ask all our employees to give $1 or $2 a week, or $1 or $2 a pay, or $5 a pay. There may be some prizes, some different games. So yeah, if companies are interested, in learning more, being a part of it, or an individual, that's one of the things I think a lot of people think once they retire or they leave a company that, oh, United Way is just that. But no, you can make a contribution to United Way no matter where you're at. And I like to think of us as a trusted charitable resource in the community, because, we're involved in different community meetings. We run community needs assessments to kind of have a pulse on, hey, what's needed, i.e. childcare, housing, mental health, and we're sitting in those meetings and we're trying to put resources and different groups together to how do we address these? And unfortunately, there's no magic wand that those aren't easy fixes.
And it's
right,
not
Andrew?
a complete fix across the board.
No.
It's a bunch of different fixes that have to work together.
Right. So you put everybody, but we're collaborating on that. So, with the United Way, that's one of those things that if you've been a donor and you're no longer working, we'd love to have your contribution. We'd love for you to consider putting us in your state, because no matter who's going to be at the United Way, who's on the board of directors, that we're going to continue to make the decisions that are going to impact our community because of the way we're set up with the allocation process, with the transparency, with having a pulse on the community needs. We're going to be there.
Sure.
Well, last year I had the pleasure of working with our human resources director, Kelly, on our campaign. And we tried some new things, I think this year we set up, or Kelly had set up some tours. And that's one thing that during the campaign process is some people just don't really understand how that allocation works, right? Or what businesses, organizations it goes to. And so having those, being able to go on tours of all of these businesses and organizations, I think was very beneficial, at least for our employees. We do a couple of other things inside of our campaign where we, pit fire against police, and we have a trophy that has a big money sign on it, and whoever donates the most from their departments gets the trophy each year. So, there are some fun things to do internally with this campaign, but I think the biggest piece that I took out of it last year was you're not just donating to United Way. You can choose which organization you want your donation to go towards.
Yeah, that's an important. So, there's two options on the pledge card. Option A goes into, I'll say, the big pot of money. So that makes those, decisions be made by those allocation teams. However, option B is our designation. So you can designate to an agency that maybe had an impact in your life or a family member's life, or if you don't live in our community, say you commute in from Miami County, you're able to designate back out to your home community, because that's really the intention of this process. Donor intent. What does the donor want to do with its dollars?
So every year, being a part of it now for fourth year, you kind of set different sort of, I would say, sections, if you will. Being part of the committee, there's a local government one, but maybe talk through some of the other ones like small businesses and manufacturing.
Yeah. So we are blessed in Shelby County to have so much manufacturing. So we have it's a whole crew of volunteers. We call them our division leaders. They're really the people who are the boots on the ground during this process to get the information out to the companies and help with our follow-throughs, because we're not a very big staff. We have myself and 3 part-time individuals within the United Way office. So it takes a big team. It takes a lot of boots on the ground that are volunteers to help. So we have large manufacturing, small manufacturing, retail, service, the public employees, government section, our cornerstone, kind of our our annual givers who maybe have either retired or are no longer affiliated with an organization here in the community. Education, both from the city and the county perspective. Trying nonprofits, even the nonprofits who even benefit from from the donations, they have a division, and I'm probably missing some. Oh, hospitals, healthcare, that big healthcare division. So quite the wide array, and we're lucky to have such a supportive community. But yeah, our goal is, hey, we ask our volunteers to dedicate some time, get some updates, follow up on those pledge cards. But then from our standpoint, how can we help you make your campaign the best it can be? And if that's a tour to understand so that they can see their dollars at work, then we are happy to do that.
Yeah. And so this year for the city specifically, our leaders would be DC Rohde and HR Director Holdhouse, who have been both involved. And then I think actually Aaron's going to be serving on the United Way board, right?
Yeah, Aaron came on the board last year. And actually, you do have another city rep, Chad Hollinger.
Yes.
Yeah, your fire chief. He is our large manufacturing chair, and he's was out with us in some early meetings at large manufacturing as a past United Way board member. He was a chair. He's actually who hired me back to take this bill. So thanks, Chad. But yeah, he's been great. He's one that he didn't understand the United Way like so many people. Like, why do I give there? I could just do this. He didn't understand until he understood, and now he's like, why wouldn't I? My dollars can make such an impact here in our community because it's put together, and then also knowing that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Well, and especially with fire and police, because they're actually seeing those dollars in action. When the fire department goes up for a fire and they've lost their entire house, who do they call? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So it's
that's you brought up a great point about talking about like dollars back into the community, and then Brittany talking about that we're visually seeing them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 98 to 99% of all the dollars raised here in Shelby County actually stays within the county.
Yes, we just did have a dues increase with our worldwide. We personally did not want that because we'd like more money to stay here, but it was 99 last year. It is 98.8% this year. We will eventually get to that. We pay worldwide 1.5%. And that's really for our branding and brand recognition. And that's important. I mean, that allows us to get into some companies that we otherwise would not be able to because they know that affiliation and they understand the United Way. But yeah, it's all, we're local. And I think that's a big thing because the one thing I've heard often is, well, United Ways do this, or United Ways worldwide CEO supports this. And it's like, well, we're independent. We have the branding, we're affiliation that gives us, we have membership standards, and we're gold and all those things. We fill out data, but the decisions are still made local. We're still a local organization funding the needs right here in Shelby County.
Right. So I guess for all the listeners that are out there, I think that we can't stress this enough. So what you may see sort of maybe a United Way in the state of Washington or California, and what impacts that community or what that community would like to focus on is certainly not what we are focusing on here in rural Shelby County, Ohio. So what's important to our community is what these dollars are obviously going towards. The allocation committee are all local individuals. Right. You yourself are local here into the county from Fort Laramie. So our focus and attention is on the community assets and needs of the people that live within it. So I would hope that you would take that out of your mind and understand that the United Way is really a car, a mechanism of the driver for the resources to get it to the actual nonprofits that need it the most within our actual community.
Correct. It gives us some guidance, but it's not the decision making, and the decision making is made by the people you may be sitting next to at a restaurant or in church on Sunday or what have you, because those are the people that are deciding what we want out of Shelby County and how we can help the most people.
Well, and you can find more information on all of these different things that United Way does on Facebook, because there is a United Way Worldwide Facebook, but then there's also the Shelby County United Way. So make sure you're following the Shelby County United Way so you can see the impact on the community itself.
Absolutely. And we try to push information out on that and LinkedIn
and you do
a little
great job.
Well, thanks. Thank you. It's a team effort over there. So we try to share. That's the one thing you always wish more people could know the good, like to see it. Like that's the one thing I'm so thankful to be here to be able to share, because I think sharing is the first step in educating. I get to be a part of something that's really cool. And so for me to be able to continue to share how I get to see people impacting other people, I mean, it's a feel good. And so I'm always happy to share.
Yeah. And then during the summer, you have your day of action. And so that's another opportunity where people can see those dollars at work. They do a ton of work in our park systems, and I know our parks department loves that.
Yes.
And so it's really nice to see, everyone in their T-shirts, their United Way T-shirts, and then they all have these different projects that they all have some sort of investment into the community. And I know I keep saying that over and over again, but I can't stress that enough of how much I see just in Sidney alone, but in Shelby County, of how much everyone cares about each other and just wants to help.
It is really cool. Obviously, a program that started before I was in my role, but we continue it on. It's cool to see these companies not only give financial support, but the time and talent back to the parks or our nonprofit organizations, our partner agencies. So typically, in the springtime, we reach out to our agencies in the parks and say, "Hey, what projects do you have?" And then there's companies that have or other groups that want to help do things. I'm a Rotarian too, so I volunteered our group to mulch the courthouse. They may not let me sign us up anymore, but it is, we got, I don't even know how many yards of mulch spread on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun, working together and seeing what it looks like after. It just feels good,
Oh, it does.
I was a part of my first one last year, and we were at New Choices.
That's a mulching project.
And that was a mulching project. And so all of the men kind of gathered together and they were like, all right, let's get this done. And then all of a sudden they all just start moving so fast. And we're all just like, what is going on? And they had it done in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I remember they were impressed.
we do love doing the mulching projects. Honestly, I know it's some of the toughest work that's out there, but we've been at Clear Creek Farms several times in the past. But those are always enjoyable because a lot of our employees that do volunteer their time, we don't typically get to see outside of the four walls all the time. And so we always do that. And then there's some camaraderie after it. And I'm open book here to say that we always enjoy a good beer afterwards. So, and I think it's a good reward for them that job well done. We volunteered time and energy and effort into the organizations here within the community.
And our community members notice it. So Dwayne was one of the projects this year. Choice One's a great organization that not only gives and runs a great campaign and gives so much back to our community, but they do a day of action project. So they had a project, and our spring was kind of wet. So they had a project. They were mulching one of the trails over at Twawa. And Dwayne the next morning got in, and some resident had already noticed it and was like, thank you so much for, so, the things that really just give it forward to other people, but it's being noticed by other people, whether they knew who did it or not, it doesn't matter. But it's that feel good. It made a difference. And you bring up a good point, like same, some days I'm like, did I accomplish anything? So it's so much, sometimes when I get a day where I can go mulch or whatever it might be, paint, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. And I'm not a very good painter either. So, but I like it too, because it's like I actually can see my work be done.
Right. Yeah. It's
What's
there.
that sense of purpose, right?
And it's just a good team bonding. Yeah. It's just everybody gets a little goofy and a little fun.
So talk to me this year. What is the city's, our goal? And then talk to me about the 110 Club.
So it's been really remarkable. The city campaign has continued to grow, and we are so grateful for that. That's we challenge our organizations to stretch. One of the ways we've done that is through the 110% Club. With annual giving, a lot of times people are like, oh, I did this last year, I'm just going to do the same thing. But if anybody knows how inflation has hit, I think you don't have to go very far to realize that's our agencies are having the same thing. So they need a little bit more. So if you're able, that 110% Club is a recognition if you're able to move your gift 10%, and then those dollars go back out. But we're stretching the city again this year. Last year they came in above goal. And they have the last several years, but we'd love to see them at $20,000, and I think it's very doable.
So last year we had a goal of around $16,000, and then we exceeded that and did almost $18,000.
Yes.
And thank you, Aaron Rohde, because he came in with $6,000 just from the police department.
Yeah, a
Way
lot
to go,
of
police
That was
department.
amazing.
a lot of new original donors that factored that in. And so talking about the 110 Club, I think if they're now seeing that impact and doubling down, now the next goal is, all right, now everybody join the 110 Club, and then we can continue to increase that giving.
And it's simple. I know most of our employees just have it taken out of their paychecks, right? That's what I do. I just donate a certain amount each month, and it just gets taken out of my paychecks.
And you don't even realize it. And I mean, when you're
No.
talking per pay, you know, and with inflation, like sometimes you can't even buy a cup of coffee for a lot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't miss it because it's gone. And then you get to hear the stories of how your dollars are at work. So that's one of the things when we're on the campaign trail, we regularly have individuals who will stop us after and say, hey, I used Agape, or I was a resident. Now I'm employed. Now I have my own place to live. I'm doing really well. And they turn their pledge card in. And that is one of the coolest parts, because you're seeing a full circle moment that somebody helped them that they don't even know, because this is our community working together to help people. And that's what we do. And then they're doing the same thing. And they are so excited to turn those pledge cards in there, whether it's $1 a pay or $2 a pay, whatever they can do. They're so excited to give back, and to be a part of that full circle moment is just, it's like icing on the cake. Whether it's at 4 a.m. or 6 p.m., it doesn't matter to me, because I'm like, oh, this is it. This is why we do it.
It's funny that you say that too, because last year when I would bring the money over, I would be so excited to bring that envelope over, and all of you came out of your offices and celebrated with me of what we had raised and that we were over our goal. And it was so much fun. But the day that we had at the chamber leadership, the United Way Day, it was exhausting. You took us everywhere. But also, I feel like some of those organizations did get some volunteers out of it, because I heard so many people in that group saying, oh, well, Agape, I'm going to go volunteer there, in their little market space. And so seeing what these organizations do and seeing where the money goes is just so important.
I do. We love chamber leadership. We're so grateful that they allow us to spend the day with that group. It's a great program. I even remember from when I went through it, when I was at the hospital, to now getting to host it. And it's really just a snippet. We do go a lot of places. We're moving and shaking. We're trying to show as much as we can in that time frame, but it's still just a piece of it. Like if we see 12 agencies, we still have 16 other ones that we're funding that we aren't able to see, or they don't necessarily have a place. When you talk about like Family and Children's First Council. Yeah, Diane has an office space, but she's working with these family and children's to wrap services around to get them the help they need. Because we know if a child's struggling and the mom and dad and the family's also struggling, you can't just help the child. We've got to help the whole family.
Yeah.
You got to help the mom and dad figure out if they need budgeting or if they need help getting jobs. So, those are ones we're not even highlighting on that day, but it's really... It's one of my favorite things to do, is to be able to host groups of tours and show people some of the amazing work. Because like I said, we don't do that work. I mean, our agency directors are phenomenal. They work hard. They are compassionate. They are empathetic. And we have some of the best facilities here in Shelby County. Our job is really to share their message and help their jobs be easier by getting them more resources, because most of them can't get funding for the things they really need to stay open, whether that's utilities and, food costs, because they're continuing to rise, and they've got residents 24/7, and staffing.
That's the biggest. Yeah.
There's not grants and different funding for staffing, but they need the staffing.
Service-oriented organizations, right? There's not capital expenses. These are labor. This is the people.
And the people.
And it's giving back.
Yes.
It's not necessarily just, they're not in it for the money.
Oh, no.
They're in it because they feel so good about being able to help people in their own community.
And they're good at it.
Yes.
They're good at it. So, that is what really is our mission. How do we keep these good organizations around, because they are needed? I mean, there isn't a place that's having a decreased volume. I was just talking to Bridget Davis with CASA. She works with our abused and neglected children. That's not something you want to have a record-breaking year on, but that's what they're trending. And so she's the voice for them. Her team and the volunteers, they're working. She needs more. And that's our goal. How do we relay that they're doing important stuff, and they need more help. And that's our goal, to get them more funding so that they can do more.
Yeah.
I think we've weaved through this a few different times as we've sort of navigated this, but I kind of wanted to just throw this out there. We are a small community of obviously less than 50,000 here within. We're not a major metro. We don't have a ton of social programming throughout. We don't rely on state and federal dollars throughout. So we are the last resort. This is it, right? And so for the United Way to step in and be able to fund programming for these organizations, right? Because the needs haven't changed, right? What needs for the people in Columbus are still the needs here in Sidney and Shelby County. So the idea is where is that pot going to come from? Because we don't have the same resources. So this is where this comes from. And for a community of our size to raise consistently over $1 million plus every single year, that is a testament to the type of people that live in our community that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Exactly.
Yes, 100%. There is no generosity like the people in Shelby County, and people should be proud to be from Shelby County. They should be so thankful for the way they were raised and understanding the importance of giving back and giving someone a chance. I think that's all somebody needs sometimes, is just a second chance.
Yeah.
Well, we do have to start wrapping this up. So, Karla, are there any other seasonal events coming up in December around Christmas, Thanksgiving? I know that there's probably some Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, so we are a match day organization. So we will participate in match day, and we put that towards our campaign. That bucket of money for our match day funding really goes towards our grant pool. So, we have these specific partner programs that we work well together. It really is a partnership. How can we help them? And also, how do they help us? They have an agreement. We work hard together. But there's also so many other great nonprofits. So those special grant projects, our Student United Way, our Power Group, they have grant pools, and we put money towards that. So that's what our match day funding goes on. So if you'd be willing to support us through that, we would love that as well as our community Christmas dinners. It is Saturday, December 13th. That is out at the fairgrounds in the Beige building. And we provide a free meal. And most of the time, Santa Claus is able to make it from the North Pole, which is super great.
It's exciting.
Alvitro usually does Alvitro and her crew, they have a phenomenal Santa's corner with some goodies. But it's a meal from the catered by the spot, turkey, mashed potatoes. We have city leadership. We have county leadership there serving. It starts serving about 11:30. If you're homebound and you can't, make it there, we'll start sending out some advertisements in November timeframe. We have people to deliver meals. So just a really good feel good as we go into the Christmas season, as we go in the holiday season. Really just serving others, and it's a good feeling that day. So if anybody is interested in being a part of that, we do take donations to help cover food cost, or if you want to help volunteer at that event or be a driver, please again reach out to our office. But more information will be out on our Facebook page after we kind of wrap up campaign, one thing at a time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's Shelby County United Way on Facebook. What is your website that
Our
they can go
website
to?
is www.shelbycountyyunitedway.org. You can call our office, 937-492-2101. And then my email is kyoung, opposite of old. I like that part. K Young.
Forever young.
I am forever young.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play that song over there.
Yeah.
We'll get flagged for copyright issues.
So it's kyoung at shelbycountyyunitedway.org. So, and also on our website, there's an info button. If you want to contact us, we'll get those emails too. So lots of ways to learn more about what we do. But, if you're listening and you're like, gosh, I didn't know, or I want to learn more, I certainly reach out. I can't share enough. It's just good stuff.
So there you go. Call to action to the listeners. Or if you're listening and you want to send this off to somebody else, just make sure we've got all these new people that are moving into our community. We have all these businesses that are there and expanding. Or if you've always lived in the community and have wanted to know, how do I get involved? How do I volunteer my time? I have maybe some resources that I want to give. Well, this is an appropriate and a perfect way to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, not even pegged on it, but we have our women's group, and they do kindergarten tutoring within the schools. So if you've got time, if you've got resources, we've got ways to use them. So do not hesitate to reach out. And I can assure you'll feel as good about it as our other donors, because it just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Karla, for sharing all this information. Again, I know how all these episodes end up is we just have a ton of information thrown at you. But like I said, next year we will really start diving more into these more detailed programs. So we look forward to having you back on next year.
Well, thank you. And thank you guys for the invite. And thanks for all you do and your support of our campaign. I mean, go City. I mean, you guys have been out and about doing so many good things. I can't wait to see where you guys come in this year.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're excited as well, and happy campaign.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.